Hey everybody, this is Pete and Andy Talk Ski on your TV. This episode, we are going to revisit the coldest place on Earth, let you know how the Calgary World Cup went, because in my opinion, it was kind of a doozy. There was also a World Cup slopestyle in Stoneham. That's not the coldest place on Earth, but it's also not warm. If you've ever been to Quebec City. World Championships is in just over 3 weeks. We're going to give you our educated guess on who is going to go. It's kind of an Olympic preview this year. And then, of course, we've got power rankings at the end. We haven't done slopestyle power rankings in a minute, so that is going to go down. Of course, though, Pete, we're going to start with Calgary. And are you the new president of the Finley, Melville, Ives fan club? Or is it time to start it? You let me know, because I'm ready to sign up.
Yeah, and you nailed it on your power rankings. I didn't even have him on my power rankings.
Nope, and I yelled at you. I think I actually made this face. You don't have Finley on your power rankings?
No.
Pete, what are you doing to me? Like, I was legitimately upset that you gave him the snub.
Yeah, I will say that I screwed up my power rankings, but I'm also not going to apologize about it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, those were my
How
thoughts.
big of you?
And, well, while he skied fantastic in Calgary, it was great. There's this, like, tiny slice of me that thinks that maybe he got a little bump because he kind of got dogged in Aspen.
All right.
And I think
so you think the judges felt bad, so they gave him first place in Calgary, huh?
I think that run was great. He probably deserved first. But I also think like it was telltale from him too when he came down to the corral and like grabbed his mute and was like, "Did you see my mute this time?" You know?
Yeah, I think I think he grabbed that mute with a little bit of anger and fury. I don't think that hurt. No,
it didn't. If anything, it helped his score because it was sick. It was one of the sickest 16 mutes I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And then again, doing it in the corral. That's the only thing that makes me think there was like this little, it's like a little bonus in there. And it was deserved. It was a deserved bonus, but maybe a little bonus.
Well, I feel like he was the best skier on the night. I think he absolutely deserved it. And I think that you're crazy. But I mean, like, it was just unfortunate because it was just another Calgary Halfpipe contest, and it was -5 degrees, and not many people put down runs. But I mean, for me, it was all about Finley. Like, I think that 16 is a 2025 halfpipe Mount Rushmore trick for me. You know what I mean? Like, I think I could say I now have 4 official Mount Rushmore halfpipe tricks for 2025, and that is on it, and unquestionably. Like, the only other 16 that can even compare, right, is Alex's, and that's where I'm at.
I agree with that. And don't get me wrong, he did ski the pipe well. Like, the pipe looked dumpy, and it was freezing cold, which is just a standard for Calgary.
Yeah, pretty staple for Calgary.
Which is funny, because I'm here in Billings, Montana, which they call the Calgary of the South. Very similar in many ways.
Calgary of the South. Okay.
Yeah, people don't say that. I'm trying to get it to catch on.
Okay.
And you know, we had this crazy temp swing where we're up to like 60. Like, if this pipe contest had been 1 week later in Calgary, we would have had like great weather. So
yeah, I saw that actually.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a bummer there.
What do they call it when it gets like warm in Calgary? Like, there's a name. Like, the winds come in. It's a thing.
Yeah, they do have a name for that.
I forget what it's called. But yeah, someone leave us a comment and tell us what it's called, because
his name's Rex Thomas. Tell us what they call it, okay?
But that's hilarious how it can be the coldest place and all of a sudden it's like actually the South. But yeah, so Calgary podium was FMI, obviously. Goepper got second. Goepper skied well. Did Goepper 16? Do you remember? Did Goepper ski?
I can't
It's been a minute
remember.
ago. I feel like he might have squeezed one in.
I feel like he must have done one.
Yeah.
To end up in second.
Exactly.
I feel like he kind of had to.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he did.
I don't think Ferreira did. And I think that was the difference where Goepper jumped over Ferreira. But Ferreira did win the overall. He won the Crystal Globe for the half-pipe season. So, Alex, good work.
Big Ferreira. Up to Al.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, it was... Yeah, I mean, I wish I could tell you that was like this great, awesome finale to the half-pipe season, but it wasn't really.
No, it wasn't. It was lackluster. And it's not to say that Calgary events, like the COP is sweet, and typically the pipe is great, and tons of training goes down there. So, I don't know, off week and terrible weather. And,
it's tough when it's literally negative degrees the entire time, and I don't know what it takes to make a half pipe, but it just doesn't seem like that's an easy way to do it.
No, not at all. But it's over, and that wraps up obviously with Alex with the globe.
Yeah,
that wraps up half pipe before world champs.
Yep.
Like they're done. They did it.
Yep.
They did
Feet
all
up.
their events.
Yep. Their Instagrams are all of a sudden going to get a whole lot more interesting again. People basically go on vacation. But yeah, ladies. So Li Feng Wei took home the gold. Zoe Atkin second, Rachel Carker third. Was there anything about that surprised you?
No, not necessarily. But I think we talked about it in our last one where like switch skiing is 100% ruling.
Yeah.
Women's half pipe right now.
Yeah. 100%.
It just is. Without Eileen in the mix, right? Because her run is great. And doesn't have like a ton of switch in there. Like switch skiing it's the champion right now.
I mean, I am even more so in a spot where I don't think Eileen's run with a switch 3 is gonna cut it against, Li Feng Wei or Zoe's big run. Like I think that if each of those two girls put down their big heater runs, I don't think Eileen's B-level run is going to beat it anymore.
No, I don't either. And especially as we started from Aspen, and then into this event in Calgary, amplitude has been up too, right? Yep. And that's always been a big piece for Eileen is she goes huge and it's great and it's clean and it's grabbed. But as we see everybody else come up with the amplitude, but also with switch to, I mean, yeah, you're right. I don't know. I'm sure she's training.
I am sure she will have something for us at World Champs. But I'm also sure that she was not thrilled to not win the Crystal Globe. I can't imagine that is going to sit super well with her. She's competitive, and that's the way that goes. So
for sure, and it's been an interesting year too because she was on the continued kind of meteoric rise, right?
Yeah. Of
however many 14 World Cup wins, whatever it was, to just nothing since Aspen, since injury, which again, we hope she's doing better and great, and we want to see her back in the mix. But yeah, been an interesting year, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we all were wow, hopefully, the X Games injury isn't a big deal, and she'd be able to, get back. But that, clearly it was a bigger injury than just a little knock and nothing. So, I would expect, of course, that she's going to make it back for World Championships at the end of the month. But, that's all we can do.
Yep, I would assume so too, but who knows? And then we got to shout out Svea because she did ski really well. Yeah, I think she had a little butt touch right at the end of, I don't know if it was second or first finals run or whatever.
Yeah, but she skied super well.
She is just forever in the mix, forever in the top 5. I am very ready to see her on consistent podiums.
Yeah, I think she had 2 podium runs going. Absolutely. And that's just the way that goes sometimes. So
yeah, but I also think we're going to see her again this year and at least one more competition. So
yeah. But yeah, I mean, I feel I'm sure she's bummed. I think she probably had a better year results-wise than last year, but I think she's skiing better this year. So I don't know. It's just a tough pill to swallow. Did you see that? Did you see that? Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, hopefully it's a sweet ramp up. towards Milan.
Yeah.
Is that how you say it? Milan.
Sure. I'm going to go with yes. Did you see that Nick Goepper posted on the old Instagram that he did, in fact, learn a left, which is unnatural for him, double 16, Pete?
I did see it. And I love it. Dude, he's a workhorse. He's a workhorse.
Yeah.
He's
supposed to be on
cranking.
vacation, like we just said. And instead, he's skiing halfpipe.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Dude, I'm excited. I think we've gotten, again, when we look back to Alex's perfect season last year, and then to see the kind of shakeups that happened, it wasn't a massive shakeup because Alex ended up with the Globe, right?
Yeah.
But he was not on top of every podium.
It was not an easy run. I mean, it's never an easy run, but it was definitely not an easy run for Alex. So do you think, I mean, obviously it makes Goepper's run better, but I think that was the thing that you could always look at, you know, where you'd score him down a little bit, where Alex does both 16s, FMI does both 16s, but Goepper only did right 16. Now that Goepper can do both, do you think that puts him level playing field above the field? What do you think?
Oh, I wouldn't say like above. If anything, for me, it's just like a perfect scenario. Mm-hmm. And I'm also going to throw like Hunter Hess into the mix too.
Yeah.
Because his run is different. And I appreciate that his is like different. It's not just, oh, I got both 16s. I got this, I got that. He's got some other stuff. And I think in Calgary, didn't he do his Misty 5? He did his Misty 5 to 7.
Yeah.
In Calgary, and it was sick.
I totally
agree.
Just
as big.
I totally agree.
So,
I love the 7.
I think like there's a mix of 5, 6. We've got like a ton of people like right poised to kind of pop off. Yeah. And again, as like a viewer and a fan, it's like the best scenario ever.
I totally agree. I think so. What I like about Nick's run is that, yeah, he's got, you know, the big spins. He's got both 16s, but he also has, you know, his switch right bio at the bottom, which I think is, you know, it checks. So his run for me checks all the boxes in terms of creativity and degree difficulty. Okay, so how about this, right? Because last episode, I, you know, gave Nick some crap because I said he barely grabs his right 10. At Calgary, he didn't do a 10. He did a right 7, just a 7.
Yeah.
But he grabs it the whole way around. So what do you think about that? Would you rather see him do 10? Would you rather see him do 7?
It depends. I feel like Calgary just wasn't enough of a telltale event with the temperature and potentially like the pipe not being great for everybody, right? Because we saw toned down runs. We really did.
Oh, 1,000%.
In that one. And I think if we're looking at, I don't know, if we go back to an X or something like that, like you're going to need a 10. And like you said, you're going to need to grab it really well too.
See, I like it. I liked his 7. Like for me, like he's got, I wish he would do it bigger. Like, I mean, but again, like it was in Calgary, so you can't really, you know, whatever. The whole thing was bad. But anyway, like I feel like he's got enough rotation, right? Like I would rather see him just do a 7, you know, hopefully a little bit bigger. But anyway, and just grab it the whole way around. Like for me, like there isn't a big difference between a 10 and a 7. If really it's just a setup trick, right? Like he's just setting up, you know, one of his big tricks at the bottom. He's got a ton of doubles up top too. Anyway, so Nick, if you're listening, Andy says do 7. Pete says do 10. And so...
Oh, I didn't necessarily say do 10.
Pete likes spin to win. That's what I heard.
Oh, I don't know if I agree with that.
Well, I think it would be interesting to see where the judges score it, you know, at a normal contest where people are putting down A runs. But, I mean, for me, I like... If you can grab it better, do it. Like that's, you know, I don't think he needs the extra 360 in his run, right? Like he's anyway.
I'd have to agree with that. If it's grabbed better, that's obviously going to be better.
Yeah.
But boy, we've got so many different runs, makeups of runs together between the field right now.
Yeah.
That it's tough, and it kind of does depend on your judging panel of like.
Oh yeah.
Do we want to see that like toned down tame dog like setup hit?
Yeah.
That's like sick and good. Or they're like, no, we want straight crank. But again, they can say whatever in the riders meeting and then do whatever in the booth and
and that's where it gets
life.
tough with the different judging panels too. And so and I'll say this too about FMI, like like his 16 was incredible, and like I think if he didn't get what I would say screwed by the judges in Aspen, like he probably wouldn't have practiced that 16 and grabbed it the way that he did. So maybe that's a silver lining of him, not getting a good score in Aspen, is that he was just like, all right, well then, if that's what you guys say, I'm going to learn how to do this trick like 1,000%, and then you can't. And now it's awesome. And like, so I'm...
And it was in Calgary. I just personally hate that as a motivator, that you have to get screwed over by a judging panel to push yourself to the next thing, I mean,
I agree with you. But I mean, I'm trying to look at positives. All right, that's enough Calgary. What did you think of Stoneham?
Okay, I personally enjoyed the Stoneham setup, right?
Really?
We had two smaller size jumps. We had like a very creative rail sections at the bottom.
Yeah, I agree.
To me, it was kind of like a little bit of a refreshing course in terms of like, okay, like what can you pull off on these jumps, but then like show us your tech on the rails. Like I like seeing it.
Yeah, it's funky. So I like that it's different. I will give it that. I like that it's different. For me, I like jump second, rails first, because I feel like that's like how a run builds better, right? Like I think it's cooler to end on, a big jump, whatever. But also, I mean, this course, like people were, especially the ladies, right? Like just tucking from the top, you know what I mean? Like, if you didn't land like the first jump, like bolts, you were not getting over the second jump. So there was zero room for error. So, which is kind of cool, but also kind of unfortunate.
Yeah. And half of the setup thing is like, you're in Quebec. You ain't getting jumps at the bottom in Quebec.
Yeah,
they don't have the vert for it. There's just no vert.
Quebec isn't shaped like that. You know what I mean? Like everything in Quebec is shaped like this. That's just the way it goes. It's all the same. We've been over this.
So they, they pulled it off, and I personally would love to see more 4-jump courses where we can. Right? Where you have to showcase all 4 ways. You don't have to, but if you're going to be on top of the podium, you're going to be doing all Quebec, 4 ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not like a Quebec thing. So I see it as the flip side of a 4-jump course. Is now we have a 2-jump and then like heavier rails. I don't know. For the makeup of like a slope season, I would love to see both. I would love to see one course every year have 4 jumps in it. And, still maybe 3 rail sections. Maybe you only have 2 rail sections. Whatever you can fit, I guess.
Yeah.
Because, like, I think back to, like, Dew Tour at Breck when we used to have it there, right?
Yeah.
And for a long time, they had 4 jumps. And it was, like, it's a pretty telltale. Like, if you're the person who's top dog in a 4-jump run, man, you got skills.
Yeah, I mean,
in all 4 directions.
I agree with you, but I do think it would be cool to have a course even more so than Stoneham, where it's like 80% rails, 2 jumps. You know what I mean? Like, for sure, like Stoneham has a good rail section, and I dig it. But like, take that and like add 50%. Where it's like, you've got like 6 or 7 rails or something like that. I don't know. I think it would just be cool to have like that variety. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Give me some variety.
Yeah, I think so too. And it's not like it's going to fully highlight different skiers, but it might. The 2-jump course, to me,
it might.
we saw it in the women's here, right? Flora won.
Yeah.
And Flora's a great big air competitor.
Yeah.
Where you're doing like your top 2 jumps. So when she gets to a 2-jump slope course, what happened? She won.
Yeah. This course was almost made for her. Like, I do think she's a stronger jumper than she is on rails, but she's no slouch on rails. You know what I mean? Like,
no,
she's not bad at all. Anyway, so, let me give the podium. So, men, it was Matej Svancer, Luca Harrington, of course, and then Ben Barclay, another Kiwi. Something else. Ladies, Flora Tabanelli, Ruyi Tang,
Nailed it.
Someone
nailed it.
help me out. Another Chinese rider. And then Rel Harwood found another podium.
Luke Byers, hit us up.
Yeah, Luke, let us know. give us your best shot.
Let's I kind of went to the women's there for a second, but let's jump into the men's real quick.
Yeah.
And I think my first comment that I have on it isn't slopestyle or halfpipe, it's both. But dude, New Zealand is on the come up.
Yeah. They're not messing around.
No.
Like they have shoot. So okay, obviously FMI in halfpipe. Luke Harold, is that his name? I'm so bad with names. Okay, good. I'm just like, I can't believe I can't remember this kid's name. Luke Harold.
You got it.
Really good. And then Ben Barclay, Luca Harrington. And I mean, and there's other good skiers too, right? Like, I mean, Ben Harrington's a good skier. You know what I mean? Like, they're not, like, they have a legit team. What's the name?
Big time. And I think
they have a lady slope skier too. Ruby Star Andrews, is that her name?
I believe you're right there too.
Yeah, she's a Kiwi. Anyway, like, it's real. Like, I mean, we talk a lot about, you know, the U.S. slopestyle team and how insane it is, and it is insane. And, you know, U.S. halfpipe team too. But I mean, the little country New Zealand is an easy, you know, number 2, right? Like, easy.
This year in both disciplines.
Yeah.
And that's wild. And obviously, like, we can go back in the past and we can look at the Wells brothers and all of their come-ups in both slope and pipe and this and that. And you can look at Finn, why am I blanking on names right now?
Finn
Anyways.
Billis? I forget how you pronounce his last name. But
Billis.
Yeah,
Billis. Thank you. Thanks for finishing that.
Yeah.
And
I'm here.
Like, fantastic skier. And it's not to say, like, New Zealand's always been around.
Yeah.
They've always
obviously
been...
Nico and his brother.
Yeah.
Super good. But, well, it's like, but they've had these athletes, right, that are just like, you know, really good, right? Like, they've got some really good athletes, but they've never had this many be this good all at the same time.
That's the biggest difference. You're 100% right. We're seeing them in not just one athlete, but 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and in all the finals and on podiums. And it's wild. And I know that their coaching too is like kind of varied right now. People are working on that team with a lot of different people, but whatever they're doing, I don't know. I guess
it's
keep
working.
It up.
Yeah,
it's working.
Don't change it now.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool for sure.
So what did you think about Matej taking the gold medal out of Luca Harrington's hands, like ripping it out of his hands? Because, you know, obviously I think Luca won. That's not actually true, but I need to say that.
But you are what do they call it? Like fanboy number 1?
Yeah, I'm his number 1 fan for sure.
For this season, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, it looked like Matej, he stepped up his rails a bunch, and this was like a creative course, and he's a creative skier.
Yeah.
And he came out with the win, and I thought his run was sick. I thought it was deserved. I think he was the gold in my.
I think Matej's run was the most creative, and anytime, you know, you are the most creative, like I think it's a really good idea to give that person the gold medal. So I'm, by no means bummed. I think, right, like just watching the runs, would I have given it to Luca? I don't know. I do think Matej's rails were a little better. I don't know. It's super close. I'm not going to choose. I think they both did great.
As it should be between
Everybody
first
wins.
and second at a World Cup, right?
Yeah.
Like, it is going to be close. And I don't know. I just, you know, for me personally, I guess the style that I like is like when you see the creativity, but you also have the speed and technicality. And for me, he put those 3 together.
That's a good point.
In a run, and I was pumped for him. I think he deserved it.
Yeah, I'm on board. And then Rel Harwood. Huh?
Yeah, that's what, second podium in 2 events.
Yeah. Like, all of a sudden, she's the real deal. I shouldn't say all of a sudden, because she's been the real deal for a while. But, like, this has been, obviously, like, the best year she's ever had. And she's deserved it. Like, she's sick. She's skiing great.
Yeah, I think so too. She's always like, I've loved her rails forever too. It seems like her jumps have been getting like cleaned up a lot more, and we're seeing a little more technicality. We're seeing like way better grabs, and so I'm pumped that she's like obviously in the mix on all these finals, but also like hitting these podiums because it's time. It's time for her. It also bodes very well into Milan.
Yeah, big year next year.
Yeah.
But yeah, Flora Tabanelli. I mean, this has got to be her first slopestyle win, right?
I would have to say so. She's 16, 17.
I think she's 17. Yeah. But yeah,
17.
like, yeah, I mean, I think if you had told Flora, before this year started, the results she was going to have, she probably would have looked at you like you had six heads. You know what I mean? Like, and like, don't get me wrong. Like, she has been a really good young skier for a really long time, but this is a breakout year if there ever was one. You know what I mean? Like, this is something else.
Absolutely. And just well-deserved too, because it's like, she's like been working on stuff, the 14, we can go back to X Games in the 14. We can go to here again. I think this event was a little catered to her being a 2-jump event.
Yeah.
Right. But at the same time, it takes away nothing. Like, mad props. Big W.
No, I mean, top to bottom, good run.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll tell you, actually, like, her rail run actually surprised me, because I'm like, all right, like, obviously she can jump. We all know that. But, like, previously, I feel like I was maybe a little underwhelmed by, like, her Aspen rail run. But yeah, like, she put it down. And I was like, this is legit.
Yeah.
So
100% legit. I got to go back to men's real quick. And I got to do a shout out for Connor Relf. This guy has been in the mix a ton. He ended up fourth in this event.
Yeah.
But dude, as we're talking about people that are kind of tracking, trending, whatever you want to call it, dude, he is trending.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. He's doing the thing. And it's like, he looks the part too. You know what I mean? It's not like, he's doing runs just barely hanging on. Like he has been consistent, right? Like, and he looks confident. Like, yeah, he skis like a big boy now. Like, 100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if we're, again, we're talking about breakout years for Flora. I mean, this is a breakout year for him.
Yeah.
It really, really is. And granted, it hasn't been like podium. Slope is hard. It is just hard.
You can't do that.
But being right there consistently in all these events, it's really, really huge. I'm stoked to see it.
Yeah. Another name in the U.S. men's list for them to sort through. Like, good luck choosing that team, boys.
Yeah, the longest list ever made.
I don't want anything to do with it. All right. Anything else you want to talk about from the World Cups?
No, I'm going to go on to a quick hot button that kind of ties into the World Cup.
So. Okay. Hit me.
Okay. We need to bring back events in Whistler. What are we doing in Quebec?
All right.
What are we doing in Calgary? WSI was the best event ever. You don't have to bring that back, but just host an event in Whistler. I haven't even talked to anybody about this, but I guarantee everybody wants to go there. That's like the best place.
Yeah.
So that's my very short rant.
I mean, I was gonna be like, are you trying to get me to argue with you? Because I'm not gonna argue with you at all. Yeah, I mean, dude, when I was a young skier, Whistler was legitimately my favorite place on earth. I'm like, I love this place. It is my Graceland. I lived there for a year. You know what I mean? Like, it is incredible. I love Whistler. I mean, if you moved events, from Calgary or Stoneham, Quebec to Whistler, I don't think you'd get many complaints. I don't understand what's going on. I mean, I guess, like they just, whoever owns Whistler is like, I don't want to do events. I don't know. I don't get it. But
yeah,
they are doing a disservice to everyone, all of us out there who want to go back to Whistler.
They are, and you said it the best. Like it's Graceland. It really is. And I have
awesome.
The same feeling from going there in high school, going there in college, and then going back there and coaching events. It's the best. It just literally is the best. And
it's almost not even Canada. It's so good. You know what I mean? Like,
I know.
It's almost
like an
a real
island.
place. Yeah, exactly. It's something else.
So that's my only hot button, dude. Let's go back to Whistler.
Yeah.
Please.
Totally agree. All right, you want to do Andy's story time?
Yes, please.
Because you mentioned Rex Thomas. So I lived in Whistler with Rex and a few other friends. And
Nice.
one evening, it just dumped snow. It had been dumping snow for like a week or something. And in one of the parking lots, like they push up a ton of snow into one big pile, right? Well, we were all just like sitting around being like, hey, you know that big pile? Let's make a hip out of it. And like, it's not like we like, so we went out there, like we like, you weren't cameras or photographer, like video, like none of that. It was just, like 6 of us with like shovels, and we got into the parking lot and turned this big ass thing into a hip. Well, so we had, I don't remember whose car, we were like getting towed behind their car, right? And like we couldn't quite get enough speed, right? So we're trying to like hit this thing, but it's not working out, not enough speed. And just these like teenagers show up in this like pimped out Escalade, and they're like, hey guys, you want us to tow you? And we're like, sure, like deal. So these randoms just started towing us into this hip, and so we're like hitting it for like an hour. And it was awesome. Like, all right, having a blast. It was just like random night in Whistler. Because what else are you gonna do? And Rex like kept hitting it, and he was like going massive on this thing. And I was just like, dude, that's sick. Like a little sketchy, but sick.
Yeah.
And as you'd imagine, the last time he went, he jumped over the entire thing, and he landed flat parking lot.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, Rex Thomas. Thomas.
That's great.
So, we brought him to the hospital, and he got a bunch of drugs. And the night ended with me piggybacking him back into our apartment at like 4 a.m. Because he broke his foot. He really effed up his foot. So anyway, there's a little throwback story.
I love it so much.
Old people. But it was a blast, dude.
I'm a big Rex fan, but the only thing that bums me out about that story is that there weren't cameras and there weren't pictures, and all I want is the picture of you giving Rex a piggyback ride.
Yeah, dude, I will never forget that, because he is literally twice the size of me, and I'm just like, all right, like walking up these like icy steps with Rex on my back, and he's just like all zonked out on drugs. It was the time. I will not forget it anytime soon. But it was a good time. Whistler, tell ya. let's not talk about Whistler again. I got more stories. So okay, well, let's move on. I think he might live in Whistler, or he lived. Anyway, Simon D'Artois is retiring from halfpipe skiing, Pete. And I just didn't think it was right to let him go out and not say anything about him. So yeah,
Agreed.
he did it for a really long time. I want to say he went to 3 Olympics. Anyway, so I tried to like quantify, right? Like, what the problem with Dart is that he's been around such a long time. It's tough to like count up his podiums and stuff, but I'm going to say he had like 10 to 15 like World Cup level podiums. I don't know. I bet Dart doesn't even know. He won he won X Games in Aspen, which I think he was the only Canadian to win, still the only Canadian to win X Games halfpipe in Aspen.
That's crazy stat.
Right.
That's wild.
Like, they've had so many great skiers. But like for me, like even like all that, like I feel like Dart was underrated. You know what I mean? Like, I think he was one of the guys that like at every single contest, I was like, I'd watch him ski like a little bit worried. You know what I mean? I'm like, I feel like Dart could win, like every single contest. So I think he was super creative, super underrated. Like, Matt Labaugh's Switch 12 that he does, right? Like, Dart was the first person to do that. He used to do right dub 10s and but 7-3 dub 10s in the halfpipe. Like,
gnarly.
He would do alley-oop dub 10s. Like, he would do a bunch of these like crazy creative stuff that nobody else did. So Dart, shout out. Good stuff, man. If you ever want to get on YouTube and, air some grievances, let us know. We'd be happy to
for sure. The shirt says it all, buddy. We're here for it. did all echo it a little bit because I only kind of watched him and probably had met him in passing like once or something like that.
Well, he's also hilarious, which doesn't hurt at all. But yeah, everyone in the world thinks Dart's hilarious. Anyway.
But I think like whether he knows it or not, I'm sure he knows it to some extent. But his career had like a very big impact on the sport.
Yeah.
Like all of the first one to do this and that you said, and also like the X Games podium, that's big.
Yeah.
To me, that's like very big. That was like a very solid impact on the sport.
Yeah,
so.
it's like, it's easy to like, talk about, and they do it a lot on the TV when people don't really know what they're talking about. Like, oh yeah, he had X amount of podiums, but it's like, I don't feel like that does justice to what someone actually did. You know what I mean? Like, because it's easy, well, shouldn't say it's easy, but like to just do the stuff that other people do and whatever. But he was one of the more creative skiers, and he did super cool stuff. So
he'll probably end up coaching for the U.S. team next because that.
Yeah, right.
See you soon.
Yeah.
See you soon.
Yeah, Ryan, watch out, bro. You hang on to that coaching job best you can. You're the last American. He's gonna come for you. I know it.
Yeah. Too funny.
I can just tell. But yeah, so should we do World Championships now? So we are going to do an actual like World Championship preview episode, right? Probably after teen.
Yeah.
But we are going to give our best educated guesses because like, World Championships, especially this year, is kind of like the preview for the Olympics. And, Pete and I, we have a little bit of experience in how they choose these teams and whatever. So, yeah.
Tiny
Pete,
bit. I mean, it's, again, I'm very excited for World Champs. We could go through, and we probably will in the preview, like go through kind of like nation by nation, like who's going.
Yeah.
We highlighted the New Zealand skiers, especially for halfpipe. You kind of know who's going there. Like those are your big dogs right now. I think the tougher ones are like, Canada and the US and maybe even China too. Like we know Eileen's probably going to get a discretion spot into halfpipe, or has probably already kind of earned it there for China anyways.
Yeah, I have no idea how they choose their team. But I would imagine it would be quite the shocker if Eileen wasn't on it.
Yeah. U.S. women's halfpipe is probably the biggest question mark in my eyes right now.
Okay. So we've got, let's see, I have it written down here. Okay, so Hannah Fallhaber, she is the returning world champion, right? So she automatically gets a spot. After that, I would have Svea. Okay, so let's start back. Let's regroup because people don't necessarily understand how this works. Okay, so all right, people at home, here's how it works. Usually you'll have 3 spots, right? Per gender, per event. The 4th spot will be a coach's discretion spot, but the first 3 spots are usually written in stone. But you can't have 4. But so for ladies halfpipe, since Hannah is returning world champion, she gets her own spot. So in theory, we could have 5 ladies going for ladies halfpipe. Like I said, you got Svea, but then the problem with that is you don't have anyone else with podiums after that. Like Kate Gray, she's hit some finals, right? Like she kind of seems like a no-brainer.
Very much in the mix.
Yeah. After that, I mean, I've got Piper Arnold, right? Like she's been in the mix a little bit. But then, I mean, honestly, for me, kind of all like I don't know who you put after that. So that's I mean 4 spots.
Hannah Lamb, and I think she's out of AVSC. I think she's probably in the mix there too.
Okay.
But yeah, when you track kind of like down after that, that's my question mark on it, right?
Yeah. And so the way it works is for those, last spots, right? Those coaches discretion spots, you're also competing against, you only have, a certain amount that you can invite for all of freestyle, all of ski. So you're also competing those spots against moguls and aerials. So you need to show, right? well, they call it podium potential, but even just like finals potential at that point, so it's going to be really tough, I think, for us to completely fill all those spots.
I think so too. If I was a betting guy, then you're Hannah Fulheimer and you're Savea, and you're probably Kate Gray, and you're looking at a 3.
Yeah, I mean, it would help if we knew anything about like moguls and aerials. I have absolutely no idea if we're good there or not. So yeah, I can't help there. So I mean, yeah, I don't know how it's gonna go, but I'm interested. Like, but that's for somebody else to figure out.
Yeah. And I'm glad I'm not trying to figure that out.
Okay, well, speaking of trying to figure that out, you want to talk about the men's side, men's halfpipe? Because that is a whole thing.
Yeah, not particularly.
That is a whole thing. Okay, well, Pete, so I've got... Okay, so again, this is the way it works. The first 3 spots are objective criteria. What that means is that they qualified. Done, right? Like, no argument, whatever. Those 3, Alex Ferreira, Nick Goepper, Hunter Hess, right? Like, kind of no-brainers, right?
Yeah.
But then the 4th spot is a coach's discretion spot. But there's 3 dudes, right, that all deserve it. Like, legitimately all deserve it. David Wise, Birk Irving, and Matt LeBas.
The issue is if you run down the latest points list, it's David Wise.
Yeah.
Is that 4th skier right now.
So which points list? Is it FIS points list, or which points list are you talking about?
Yeah, FIS points, right?
Okay. I don't know. I honestly don't know how they choose it now, because we used to do AFP points.
Yeah, that was fun. Also,
remember AFP? That was great.
Yeah, it was
I like that.
Don't get me on a side tangent right now.
You're right.
We'll save that for another time. But yeah, if you run straight down the list, it would go to David Wise.
Well, the thing with Dave too is he hit objective criteria. Like if Hunter, if Goepper didn't ski a single day this year, then it would be Alex, Hunter, Dave going, and there would be another coach's discretion spot. So, in my experience, like I think Matt LeBas and Birk both also deserve to go and deserve serious consideration. But since Dave hit objective and has the most, or the best placings, the highest spot on the rankings, like I think they have to pick Dave. I don't think they have a choice.
Yeah, I mean, coach's discretion would tell you that they have a choice, but I think you're right. I kind of think they don't have a choice.
Yeah, right. Supposedly they have a choice, but I don't think they actually have a choice.
Yeah, and it would be a tough one to justify too, where it's like when we look back at like Birk's season, I think that there's plenty of events, and probably Calgary included, where he was like in 10th, where I don't think they were like 10th place runs. And we've talked about this in previous ones, right?
He had a good run in Copper.
And I think,
and I think
Aspen, when you look at podium potential, I would put him right up there in that top 4 for podium potential. That being said, I would also put Matt LeBas.
Yeah, I was going to
say. Who's been skiing very, very well, too.
The thing with Matt LeBas, seems like he is the guy of those 3 that judges want to give scores to. Right? Like sometimes there's just that thing where it seems like, right? Like even if he and Birk had like almost the exact same run, it feels like judges want to give Matt LeBas scores. And I'm like, don't get me wrong, like I'm not saying he doesn't deserve what he's gotten. Like he's been crushing.
It's because of the parallel tail. That's why. I love it. I get it.
I mean, it's pretty sick. Yeah. Well, I mean, and like he's been skiing awesome, right? Like, and man, like you put a gun in my head, like who do I choose out of those 3? Like, man, maybe I do choose Matt LeBas. Like if there's no, I could just choose whoever I want. I really don't know. I'm thrilled that I don't have to make that decision because gosh. Yeah,
me too.
It is not fun.
That's why I see him going to the default. And it's not a default. Again, if Dave has objectively qualified, then it's not like this default deal.
Yeah.
But that's the way I see it playing out. It just, and it's I'm not to say the makeup of that like world champs US team, it like bums me out in any way at all. Yeah. It's great. I love that they're all powerful competitors with podium potential. That's awesome. I'd love to see all of them go.
Yeah.
I would, because they all are in the mix, and they
that's
all
a whole
could.
nother conversation too. Like,
Yeah. We're opening up a lot of rabbit holes here, wormholes.
You
Maybe.
choose just those 4, and you're leaving off a lot of people, but that's how FIS does it. So that's how it needs to be done. There's been, yes, I've had a lot of uncomfortable conversations with a lot of people in that regard. But that's the way it is. But yeah, I mean, they do that for the Olympics too. So it's like, yeah, I mean, this is kind of an Olympics preview. Like that could be your U.S. team. A lot can happen next year. I think Alex is probably the only one that will be 100% qualified for Olympics on the men's side after this year, right? I don't know if Svea will hit objective criteria for Olympics. I don't know, because she's going to be the number 1 ladies halfpipe skier, right?
Yeah, and I don't know. I haven't looked into like the full criteria stuff, but I would assume, right, that she's right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I forget.
Whether she makes criteria or not, she's in the mix, that's for sure. So, it's spicy. It's only going to get spicier too. You know what I mean? We're just at the start of the spice of the Scoville scale. That's how you measure heat.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Oh, no, I didn't. I mean, I mean, I am thrilled I don't need to make that decision.
Me too.
Thrilled.
Isn't it nice to just be sitting here talking about it?
And I am not going to go on another story this episode. There is plenty of stories that I could tell about all that, but let's not. For many reasons, let's not. But yeah, all right. So, do we want to say anything else on World Champs, because we got a whole thing coming? But
yeah, let's save it for that, because like I said, we've opened up a couple of rabbit holes there.
Yeah, right. We might go down those rabbit holes.
Yeah, let's postpone it from there. We have one more slope and big air event that's coming up in teens. So I think we should hit our power rankings for slope heading into that last World Cup event for the year.
Okay. So you or me first?
Yeah, you should go for it. Why don't you go? You go.
Okay. Ladies first? Let's do ladies first.
Sure.
Mathilde Grimaud, number 1. I don't know. I have no idea if she's skiing in teen. I mean, I feel like she probably lives close to there, so maybe that'll be, a warm-up for World Champs. I'd imagine she's going to do World Champs, whatever. Tesla Do, however, it is basically her home event. She is my second. Flora Tabanelli is my third, because I am the number 1 Flora Tabanelli fan in the world, and she just won her first slopestyle World Cup, so that feels nice. And then Eileen Gu is my spoiler, because maybe she's going to compete, maybe she's not. I don't know.
I'm upset with your power rankings for so many reasons.
Really?
Yeah. And let me dive into mine, and then I'll tell you kind of like why I'm upset. The first reason I'm upset is I also have Matilda's first.
Okay. I'm happy I said it first, so it looks like you're copying me.
Yeah, but I'm not, dude. I wrote this hours, days, months ago.
Yeah. Because we plan all this out so far in advance.
Yeah. No, I'm ready for her to come back and kind of seal the deal on another event. Same. Again, like we talked about before, I think it's like great that she's taking like personal time and mental health time.
Yeah.
And if she does come back into this event and it pays off, more power to you. That's awesome. I have Flora in second.
Okay.
I have Rel in third. Oh, I did some balloons. That's cool. I did Rel in third, which also, like, that's another reason why I'm frustrated with you. She's just podiumed the last 2 events.
She has.
And she's doing super great. So I think you're off your rocker. And I have Tess as the spoiler because, it is her home event. And sometimes that adds stacked pressure. And we've seen her under pressure. And it's a 50-50. That's a coin flip.
Yeah,
so
but
I'm
she
100%...
also did win last year, Pete. So she's got history on her side.
It doesn't matter. I'm right and you're wrong. And
right on. Fair enough. All right, gentlemen. Okay. Number 1, Luca Harrington. I feel like
Well,
I've said those 4 words back to back a lot recently, and I gotta tell you, I like it. Number 1, Luca Harrington. Number 2, Alex Hall. Fresh off of his Aspen win. But speaking of fresh off of wins, Matej Svancer is my number 3 because he won, and good old Quebec. And then Colby Stevenson, which probably deserves to be higher than Spoiler because he's a great skier. But man, it's fitting people on this list is hard. So
it is. I was gonna kind of tee off on you again about your list, but I can't. Because it is super hard, and I have some crossovers there too. Starting with my first one, which is Colby is gonna win. Dude, he didn't make finals.
All right, I like that.
He didn't make finals in Stoneham, and the answer is no. He's like very much right up there. I think he's still the bib right now. I think he's the yellow jersey.
I don't know. I think so. I feel like they flashed something across the screen, and that's what I saw.
I think he still is on the point list, and we're going into the last slope of the year, and you think he's not going to be gunning for the glow?
You're right. Like, he's gunning. What? You're right.
Yeah, and you put him as a spoiler. Like, you're off your rocker. Anyways, I have Luca in second.
Okay, fair.
And then this one, dude, I got Connor Ralph in third. Wow. I said it a second ago. It's like, dude, he's been in the mix and everything. I feel like he has the podium potential, or it's just like,
and
what else?
He's got the juice now, huh?
I think he's got a little juice. And then I have A-Hall as the spoiler because he's the spoiler and the first and the second and the third place for every event ever.
I was going to say, for one of us, not like we've never not had A-Hall on our list. Like, no. Either one of us for this entire TV show. So I was honestly like really anticipating, like, oh man, what's he gonna do for A-Hall? No. Okay. But dude, Matej just won, and he's just not a guy for you, huh? No respect for Matej.
That's rough to say the respect word. I have mad respect. I think he's great. I give him
respect.
Props, dude. I give him props for the Stoneham stuff. That's my power ranking, and I can't wait to see how this next event unfolds.
Clearly not enough props. Matej, I hope you hear this and you prove him wrong.
Yeah, or
prove me right.
Call me out. His social media Instagram is like the funniest thing in the world.
Oh, yeah. I actually don't follow him on social media, so that might have to happen.
Oh, you should. I don't know if you would get half of the stuff he posts. I don't either, but it's funny.
Is it another language stuff? He actually speaks really good English. That's how his interview afterward.
Yeah, most of his stuff is in English, and it's kind of off the wall, and I like it a lot.
Okay,
even though I think I understand, but I'm pretty sure I don't.
But you might not be cool enough to understand what's happening.
I'm super old, you know?
No, that's like the story of my life. Like, someone says something that's really cool, and I'm like, ha ha ha, yeah, that was funny, and I don't actually understand the joke at all.
Yeah.
It's like half of my life. Yep. All right, Pete, what else?
That's all. Oh, my dog's coming to say hi. I don't have much else. I spouted off, and I have more things to spout off about, so I'm kind of looking forward to the next one.
Okay.
To continue to spout off.
Well, that's a good tease into our next week episode because, yeah, I think it's going to be a big one. I hope that we have world champ spots finalized so we can complain about those.
Oh,
Look at the little guy. Look at the little guy.
She's a gal. That's my little princess.
Look at the little lady. Whatever.
She doesn't look like it.
That's nice. Well, if you all haven't heard, you can head on over to fist-sucks.com to buy your Pete and Andy merch. It's not on sale or anything because it's never going to be on sale because it costs real money, but it is cooler than everything else.
I think so too, and I think in 2 weeks we probably will be going into a going out of business sale.
Yeah,
not to say it will never be on sale.
At least going out of the season sale because we're not going to keep that crap up forever. So get it while it's hot.
Or we'll switch to tank tops. But like, dude, look at this sweatshirt. And I feel great that I'm like the only one that has this right now. But I also feel like people are missing out big time. Big time. Oh no, Andy, I lost sound.
I'm back.
Oh, he's back.